here in Poland, we have also F-16 planes, and Poland has agreed to send a very limited number of F-16 planes in case there will be this international coalition taking form. So probably 2, 3, who knows, maybe potentially even 4 F-16s could be sent to Ukraine. The question is how many Polish pilots would be interested in volunteering. But the F-16 plane is that common in Western air forces that we do have a pool of a couple of hundred people that could, well, naturally not all of them would volunteer, but it seems quite probable that a group of 10, 15, maybe even 20 pilots could be scrambled together in this fashion. So the Poles, they have been helping Ukraine from the start of the war, whether with humanitarian aid, financial aid, but military aid has naturally played an incredibly important part. And if we look at these parallels to history, I mentioned previously that the Poles, they offset their numerical disadvantage against the Red Army in the Polish-Soviet War of 1920 by partly using their air force and getting help from Western volunteers, pilots. But the way that the Poles used the encryption, radio communication was also another advantage that they had. And if we look at Ukraine today, it was absolutely vital for them to be able to communicate. When the war started, the Russians, they attacked all types of infrastructure that is used for communication. They wanted to take out the internet in Ukraine completely. Fortunately, in recent years, with the development of the so-called Starlink system by Elon Musk and SpaceX, these Starlink centrals started appearing in Ukraine, giving them access to internet through these satellites. And the Poles, they realized quickly that this will be vital for Ukraine's survival, and they started buying Starlinks in large quantities. And now Ukraine has somewhere between 25 to 30,000 of these Starlink systems, or receivers rather, of which these 25 to 30,000, Poland has provided somewhere between 12 and 13,000, so nearly half of them. So this is one example of the type of aid that Poland has been sending. Right now we're also in the midst of, we had this Ramstein summit that took place in February, when various countries were pledging. Mainly the February Ramstein meeting was about the tanks. But the Poles, they decided that they would equip 2 battalions that would be equipped with either Leopard 14 tanks or another 60 tanks that were PT-91 Twardy tanks or T-72 tanks. But apart from the tanks, they would equip these soldiers with everything else that they need for this battalion. So there will also be some self-propelled artillery. There will be infantry fighting vehicles. These are Soviet-era systems that have been modernized since the fall of the Berlin Wall. Not as good as the Western Bradleys or Marders, but still very much needed by the Ukrainians. But the Poles, they also decided that they would train these battalions. So they have been here in Poland receiving not just the equipment but the training, and now they are preparing to head back to Ukraine. Right now, these months, March, April, they are still part of what in Ukraine is known as mud season, or Rasputitsa, this word that comes from it's a Slavic description of practically something melting or completely disappearing. So we all have seen those pictures from the East Front of the Second World War with the Wehrmacht trying to advance and being stuck in 1.5 meters of mud or so, and it makes offensive operations very difficult. So right now, this could be one of the reasons for why the Ukrainians are holding on to the city of Bakhmut as adamantly as they are. They know that this is not a moment to give up terrain to the Russians easily. They are being helped by the weather conditions, or rather the quality of the soil at the moment, and they are buying themselves simply time as this Western equipment is now arriving in quite large quantities.
Adam, as usual, the clock in the corner of the room has defeated us, so I'll have to ask you to pause there, but we'll pick it up next time. There we are, as usual, defeated by time, but fear not, if you join us next time, as we hope you will, we'll pick up the story here on Poland Daily History. In the meantime, thank you for watching and see you next time.